Take off the foo-foo, take off the cloud chase, take off the Wi-Fi. Take off the money phone, take off the car loan, take off the flex and the white loss. Take off the weird ass jewelry, I'ma take 10 steps, then I'm taking off top off. Take off the fabricated streams and the microwave beams, it's a real world outside. Take off your idols, take off the runway, take off the Cairo. Take off the sandal, pay 5 days stay, take up for the meal, have a follow. Take off the fuck flag, take off perception, take off the cop with the hot pad. Take off the unload, take off the unsure, take off the solutions I had. Take off the fake deep, take off the fake.
Good evening. I guess it's afternoon. What time is it? It's not that late. This is the new, and by new I mean not super new, RSX Type S transmission, 6-speed with LSD. So we're ready to get this in. I got to get the mounts prepped and set up to get installed. When you do these K-swaps on these older cars, you have to knock off the existing motor side engine mount. So this has got to go. I'm going to drill the spot welds, and I think the current plan is to get rid of that and then prep the area for welding, then get the weld-in mount, which is this guy. I'm gonna have to get that ready, and then it's a little bent, so I'm gonna have to probably straighten it out a little. So that one's gone. Prep this one, get it situated, and then drop the motor in, bolt the trans side mount in, set this one up where it needs to live, and hopefully this one will install correctly too. I don't know if I'm missing a bracket on the back, but it'd be nice to lock both of these down, and that makes this one super easy because I can just kind of situate it where it needs to go. And then yeah, once the motor's in, it's game on. So here we go. Well, that's the aftermath. And it's sort of about what you have to deal with. I can fix the holes by welding it, paint unfortunately, and I hit it there with the grinder, so I'll give myself like a B, maybe. If there's a way to get these done without blasting through the frame well, then I don't know it. But anyway, anywho, this is the old mount. That's trash. Here's the new one. Like I said, this one's gonna get framed out, but this guy is gonna sit like right there or somewhere. So next step is to pet the puppy, tell him he's a good boy, then connect the trans and the motor, drop it in, and just see where we are, because we've got a bunch of challenges. It doesn't fit so good. The 88 EF I did fit way better. I've got a bunch of unfun spots. I've already had to notch the subframe. It's happened a little on the frame rail, but that was kind of to be expected. The bushings, I had to sand them down to get them to fit correctly, which is not a great sign. And to be fair, I had to sand the bushing down to fit its own bracket. So maybe I'm wrong here somewhere, maybe the application is not right, but if I have to sand your bushing so that it fits in the bracket that you made, it's not a good look. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more love, see if I can get it to work. If not, I'm just gonna call Half Sport and bite the bullet, just waste even more money. So yeah, that's where we're at. Give it another shot. Okay, making some progress. A few things I learned. These Innovate mounts, I don't know why they designed it like this, but it's not just the trans side. It's what seems like all of them. It's like they put the thing intentionally under tension. The gap here, you can almost see it is bowed out. And like, there's no chance that any of the other mounts go to any other spot on the car. And this is, I mean, like when I thought maybe there was like a design thing with that one because that's mount to car. But this is Innovate mount, or Innovate, I don't know which one it is. Innovate mount to Innovate bracket. And that, I had to hammer it in on the vise, like beat the pants off of it with some lube just to get it to go in. I guess that's to help with rigidity. Maybe they had some knocking issues with the correctly sized ones. I don't know, man. But that one is sort of set up, and they're looking better though. I mean, complaining aside, it's actually kind of coming together. So these sort of look like they're gonna fit. I'm gonna call it for today. It's kind of out of time, but they're starting to take shape. I think I really don't want to hammer this thing in, just because it's like, it's just gonna, I mean, yeah, I know it's gonna screw up the paint, whatever, but it just doesn't need to be like that. There's no chance you can convince me that this gap has to be bigger. Like, I've just never seen that before. So I think I'm gonna get a bolt and try to put some space there. And, you know, I might just flex back when I lock it down, but I for fabrication purposes, I need this thing to go in and out a lot easier. And I guess, I mean, the problem is, like, on that one, I can take the brackets out, the bolts, and just lift, like, rotate the mount backwards and lift everything straight up. This one, this has to be able to move for this to be, you know, easy in and out. Same with that one. This one looks like it might be a little bit of an easier install, but I don't know. Well, we're getting there. It's just how it goes. So far so good. Motor placement. I'm kind of liking how that's gonna look. Tons of room. This is probably even more room. At least it feels like more room around the side. I don't think I'm gonna run a Sidewinder manifold, but I may need to, considering, well, I don't know, we'll see. Anywho, so this is it so far. Motor's in, gives you an idea of how low K24 is gonna sit. To be honest with you, I think it, on these mounts, I'm pretty sure it would only be higher, or sorry, lower at the top versus at the bottom if it was a K20. I don't know where the deck height would be exaggerated. It's hard to say. I haven't done enough K20s to know for sure, but the point is it's pretty low. I might need to make something. I thought about doing it on the EF, but it seemed doable, like some kind of skid plate or something to just, and with this nice chunk of metal in here, it'd be easy to anchor off of it too. So something to think about. But my next step here, so we've got a few things of concern. It's hard to see it. Well, you can't really see it at all unless maybe I go up like this. But if you look, hopefully you can see that the just doesn't fit. So the bolt holes for that rear mount are about an inch this way, and the mount sits further to the passenger side. You know, that's an easy fix. I could just weld that plate to the subframe if that's the only trouble area. And like this side kind of fits pretty well, and this side seems to fit, except for that just insanely tight. I forget how close to the fender wall it gets, or sorry, the frame rail. But I mean, like, you know, there's problem areas aside, everything else is pretty acceptable. I think really the next massive, well, not massive, but the next hurdle is I'm gonna toss some axles in, because I wanna make sure that the drive angles are good, because, you know, motor can sit kind of however it wants, but the working angles for the axles have to be at least acceptable, because if they're off, you know, because the motor's too far back or forward or left or right, you're just gonna snap axles. And you can visualize it, you know, you'll see it pretty obvious when you go to put everything in. I think everything's okay. It looks like it's gonna fit, but I'm not finalizing anything until I get that axle in there. So that it's not a crack, it's just dirty. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm gonna go grab some axles, probably call it for today, but I'm gonna go grab some axles and toss them in tomorrow and see how everything kind of just sits in there and go from there. Okay, I've got the axles. They're in the boxes right there. So I already took the wheel off. I'm going to pull the arm out, pop the axle in, see if this side fits. If this side fits, then it's really just whether or not the half shaft or the intermediate shaft and the other side axle fits. If they fit, then it's motor out, prep the frame rail, get all the schmutz off of it, and get it ready for welding. Like patch all the holes, make sure that's good. Put the mount on, put the motor in, weld, and then you're good. So yeah, axles. All right, so that was Monday. It's now Thursday. I have spent the past, I guess, 3 days trying to figure out what in the world was going on. So here's where I'm at. This is a TSX axle, or an axle RSX, Type S axle, which means it should be a 36 millimeter nut. It's either 36 or 38, I apologize. The bigger of the two. And it should fit any hub, or at least at a minimum should be too big to fit a standard Integra hub. So this should have been too big to fit this hub, and when I went to put it in, it's kind of a hot dog in a hallway. Like, it's super loose. So that sent me down a rabbit hole trying to figure out where I went screwy. I learned a lot. So I learned that these from the factory, or the hubs, should be the same as early 90s Preludes. They should, right out of the box, fit base RSX axles, and everything should jive. These should have been too big to fit that hub. So I called the old owner, reached out, and he told me that this is actually a hub for a Proline axle, or a 5.9, I guess they called it. So the actual hub itself is wider, which is why it didn't fit this. So that sort of left me with a few options. I could either go straight for the crazy huge axles that would fit this and just return these, or I would have to get the hub. The hubs for the standard one are $250 for the set, but then Carcraft makes a set of hubs that are $400 and fit these axles. And I've heard some conflicting things between Hasport, who was a huge help, by the way, and the people that make the Carcept hubs. So there's some discrepancy as to how much power these can actually hold. We'll see. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. So these are on the way from Carcepts to fit the 36, I believe, millimeter nut. And yeah, so once those come in, I slap the axles back in, weld everything up, and can get started on placement. But so that's kind of gonna cut it for this one. I'll start the next video with just me getting the axles popped in. Cool.